Thank you, Presiding Officer, and I am very grateful for the opportunity to speak in this debate. I'd like to begin by picking up on a remark my friend and colleague Jenny Goroof made in her speech, because I think it was actually one of the most profound and important remarks in this entire debate, and that is the link between fair work and democracy. Now, I'm sure that any student who left one of Jenny's modern studies classrooms, or any history teacher's classrooms for that matter as well, would be perfectly aware of the link between the lived experience of people through fair work under economic circumstances and the link to faith within democratic institutions. The lesson of the 1930s and late 20s speaks to that. But in our contemporary time, the wave of violent, xenophobic, nasty populism that is spread across the globe, be it in the rise of Front National, Alternative for Deutschland, Trump, and indeed Brexit itself, we cannot escape the causal relationship between people's economic circumstances, their experience of work, their experience of a lack of fair work, and their sense of alienation and hopelessness which led to the decision to embrace those particular ideologies. So this debate is of profound importance. Now, I wish to just comment on a couple of remarks that have been picked up so far. I want to welcome Jamie Hepburn's response to Joanne Lamont's intervention regarding positive destinations, specifically that we're going to look at how outcomes are measured. I think that's to be welcomed and something that we'll all agree on. And I also want to welcome the action to increase uptake of the Scottish Business Pledge, because clearly schemes like that are incredibly important, but there's challenges in making the requirements compulsory. Patrick Harvey spoke of a high road and a low road, and certainly within that suite of high road options, there are other measures as well. One that I'm particularly supportive of is the Carer Positive scheme, which my colleague Ruth Maguire referred to in her remarks. I led a members' debate earlier this year on the Carer Positive scheme, and I would encourage all MSPs in this Parliament to look into this scheme and to become a Carer Positive accredited employer. It is a scheme which will become more and more important. Carers make up 17% of the adult population, and there are 270,000 people combining work and care. That's 10% of the working population, and with the number of carers in Scotland expected to reach 1 million within the coming 20 years, then it is absolutely vital that our working environment adapts to make sure that carers have a positive workplace in which to work in. Now, another obviously very important scheme is the Living Wage Accreditation Scheme. I think some of the points that have been raised in terms of how we can ensure living wage accreditation within public procurement, there are challenges there, there are debates there, but I do recognise the sincerity of members who want to see the application down to subcontractors, etc. But I think one of the big issues that comes from that is the fact that we do not in this Parliament have control over the national living wage. And as has been described previously, the national living wage is something of a Tory con. And I think that what would be far better is if this Parliament had these powers, then we would actually be able to deliver a real living wage for all employees. And I echo and I join with colleagues who are calling for the devolution of the national living wage powers to this Parliament, because one of the key issues within that, of course, is age discrimination. As things currently stand, there is a national living wage of £7.50 an hour, but for someone that's 16 to 17 years old, that's £4.05. Now, my very first job was as a kitchen porter some 16 years ago, and I judged myself just as capable of performing these onerous duties as any person of any age could be, indeed more capable than some people who were older than me. Yet I was earning less than £3.50 an hour just by dint of the fact I was 16 years old. But the reality is someone under 25 will be paid less. Now, if I think about one of my colleagues, my constituency colleague, Mary Black MP, she is 23 years old, yet she is a far more capable representative than some of the superannuated lobby fodder that graces the halls of the Palace of Westminster. Yet, under the principles of the national living wage and the national minimum wage, she would be deemed less able. So there is much more I would wish to say in this debate, but on that remark I would like to reiterate my support for the action that the government is taking and reiterate my calls and the calls of others for devolution of employment law and devolution of the national living wage to this Parliament. Thank you.